Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I wanted to share my new strategy that I'm going to be personally using with Etsy in this new year, and it's going to be something that I'm focusing on a little bit more. And I'll go ahead and explain it with my whiteboard here, but without further ado, I do want to go ahead and explain that some of the things that I previously kind of mentioned are going to be changing for the sake of my future businesses, and I'll kind of explain with Etsy what I mean. With Etsy, guys, for the longest period of time, maybe about 3 years, Etsy has just been simply a place for me the best way that I can kind of explain it is more of like a pump and dump. And what I really mean is I'm pumping up Etsy with a bunch of products that I know from an SEO standpoint will do well. And I'm not doing a bunch of products every single day. I'm doing only a few products a day. This was with me and my virtual assistants. Put a few products up, maybe 3, 4, maybe even up to 10 maximum. And out of the products that we do research and put them up, some of them do well, some of them don't. And then the ones that don't do well in a 3-week period, we get rid of them. We delete them. And the ones that do well, right, the ones that do get a sale here and there, we know it's only a matter of time till the sales go up. I've spoken about this, like I said, last year, the year before that. I made videos on this. I didn't make many, for sure. I think maybe last year I only made like 4 or 5 videos on Etsy as a platform. But I've told you guys my strategy. In fact, the people who consistently watch my channel know about my Etsy strategy. And it's very, very simple. Find the product, the right keywords, the right SEO, all that kind of stuff. Post it on Etsy, right? And get the consistent sales. That's all it is. In terms of advertising, store boosting, things like that, I was never involved in. Yes, I do get off-site ad sales, and that comes right out of my Etsy payment, but after that, I really don't do anything. I know how some people do the discounts, the store discounts, do all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of that because what I'm doing is when I post the product to Etsy, I'm already making sure the customer has a demand for it. And if the customer has a demand, right, they're already looking for that exact product. And that's why I don't have to boost my sales by doing things like cutting down prices, giving people discounts. And I know, trust me, I know if somebody's only doing Etsy, that's bad advice for someone only doing Etsy. Because what are they doing? They're relying on one source of income, and they don't have the option or the luxury rather, to push away sales, right? I do understand that my strategy of not running certain ads, of not giving certain coupon codes, not running certain discount codes, all these kind of things, store sales, I totally understand that does cut down sales. But once again, for me, it's never been a priority. It's been something that just generates sales. That's simply it. I never looked at it any other way different. But like I said, in this year, my strategy is going to become a little bit different. I do want to state that with this strategy, we can call this strategy 1, okay? Strategy 1 is, with this strategy, this was all digital, okay? All digital products, okay? There was no physical here. But because of the growth of my physical product businesses, I have 3 current websites that are solely print on demand, that are physical, both SEO and ad running. I do want to even grow them even more in the chance of maybe selling them in the future. And when I diversify where the sales are coming from, it could potentially help my multiple when I sell my actual businesses. So when I have my own website, okay, it's a clothing website or a print website, like where I'm selling wall art, something like that, I usually, if there's a business that I don't see a future of me running, I'm probably going to sell it. I have enough websites that I already run already. I do a lot of things every single day. It's too hectic, right? So usually I do sell it. Now, when I sell it, I have to pick the right time to sell it in. I'm not going to, bog down you guys about when to sell and because that has nothing to do with today's video. But when I do sell the business, one of the things that increases the multiple of which that I can sell it at is the different sources of revenue that it comes in. So, for example, if my Etsy store, right, is driving traffic to my website, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second, that is now a new source of traffic. You might say, How does that work? Or what are you talking about? Well, a lot of big Etsy shops, not just big Etsy shops, because there could be medium-sized Etsy shops that do this as well, even small-sized shops. But I don't want to confine it to just big shops. But there's people who are slowly transitioning away from Etsy and increasing their amount of sales off of Etsy. And part of that is what they do is they have their own website. And every order that comes through on Etsy, they recommend or they give some sort of difference. They give some sort of discount, or there's new products or something. They give something to the customer to incentivize them to visit the website. Does that make sense? And what they do is that customer, especially if they already get an order from that Etsy customer, that Etsy seller, they are more inclined to go shop at your website now because you're giving them something for it. You're telling them, go to my website, here's a discount code, or go to my website, you'll find new products, or whatever the case may be. There has to be some sort of incentivization, right? And so when that happens, you're increasing not only your traffic to your website, you're increasing your pixelated funnel. Pixelated funnel just simply means that I'm bringing people down the funnel more, and I can pixelize them, right, through ads, Facebook retargeting, Pinterest retargeting. There's a lot of things I could do, right? And then what I'm actually doing is I'm potentially increasing the sales for my website. And when I say potentially, it's only a matter of numbers. The higher the numbers, the bigger chance there is, and not even just a chance, but it's a guarantee that it will happen with time. So it increases your website sales. Now, for me, why I'm going to be implementing this strategy is simply because, and we can call this strategy number 2. The reason why is because, like I said, my main goal with a lot of the different businesses I have within these next few years is to sell them. I think from now to the next 5 years is just building and selling, building and selling, building and selling. I haven't really built something that I plan on keeping for the rest of my life as a business. And especially in the print-on-demand space, I can recreate print-on-demand stores pretty much any day of the week. I mean, there's really nothing stopping me. All I do is create a website, add the products, put ads on the products, or do SEO, whichever one I want to do, sometimes both, and just sell products, and then wait for the store to accumulate enough cash flow to where it can actually generate a profit when I sell it for that yearly or 3x yearly multiple. Usually when you sell a website like that, it will sell for around 3x the yearly profit. So let's just say the website made $100,000 in a year, and let's say 40 grand is profit, right? It will sell mostly for 40 grand times 3. But if you have certain things that help you grow the business, there's a potential you can charge a higher multiple, right? I mean, it could be 3.5, it could be 4, it could be whatever the case may be. So it just depends. So, kind of does matter. But anyways, so this is a second strategy that could potentially help. And I've personally seen it with people who have blown up their business doing this. Etsy is strong if you can start to get those reviews, if you can start to get those orders, because the way Etsy works is like they use every little thing to your advantage or to your disadvantage. And I'll explain what I mean. Let's just assume I'm selling a hat, right? Let's just use this as an example, okay? Every single view that I get that leads to a sale is a huge benefit in terms of the snowball effect on Etsy. And the snowball effect is just very simply how the algorithm works. You're starting off at the top. It's the hardest to move the snowball. Once that snowball moves down the hill, it's going to roll itself. And this is why I said, like I said, strategy number 1 worked so well for me is I just created the product, did the right SEO, and obviously I wasn't 100% perfect through me and my virtual assistants. Some products had to die, some products lived. But the bigger time that I waited, the snowball got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that snowball got to a point where it's running itself, and the only point that I really had to push on was at the beginning. And I'm trying to draw a stick figure man here pushing a snowball to kind of exemplify what I'm talking about. As soon as you get that first sale, right? As soon as you get that first sale, it turns into more and more down the road. It might not turn immediately, right? It could be like, let's say, for example, you get your first sale 3 weeks in. right? Then what happens is a week and a half later, you get your second sale. Then a week later, you get your third sale. Maybe the fourth week, you get 3 sales, 2 sales, and so on and so forth. Obviously, you're capped depending on the size of the need or the demand. But once again, that's strategy number 1. And strategy number 1 was purely focused on demand, right? It's purely focused on demand. And it works from an SEO standpoint for digital products. But what I'm going to have to do for my second strategy, if I really want to make this thing work, is obviously I have to sell physical products, because that gains into the trust factor. One of the things that makes the person go from Etsy to my actual website is the trust factor, right? If I tell them, hey, go use a coupon code, or go check out my new products that I think you'll love on my website, for them to actually pull the trigger and end up purchasing on my website, obviously, they have to trust me, and that's first and foremost, right? Because part of the reason they're shopping on Etsy is, at the end of the day, they know they're protected slightly because they're shopping on a platform that is in the best self-interest of the customers, right? It serves the interest of the customers, not really the sellers. If you look, Etsy sellers are treated much worse than the customers are. If a customer claims something's wrong with the product and they report it to the support, trust me, you're gonna get the loss in that area. It doesn't really matter what you say; you're going to lose the money. And it's kind of just like eBay. If you guys are familiar with eBay, and if you're a seller on eBay, eBay is no different. eBay is going to put their customer first, because really, who is harder to acquire, a seller or a buyer? The buyer. The buyer is the one that makes money, and they're much more important in the eyes of these platforms, which I can't blame them. I can't sit here and point the finger and blame them, because business is business. It is what it is. And there's no crying in war. So it is what it is. But anyways, right? So my point here is that I'm going to have to sell physical products so they know what they're already getting. Now, physical products for me are never an issue, because I already have websites that support physical products, that sell physical products. And they're doing a phenomenal job. That, they package the product, ship it out, everything's all good. So I'm good in that area. And the websites are basically just the glorified version of Etsy stores, when the Etsy stores are physical products, but obviously it does require a little bit more marketing. So Etsy just creates another avenue. Now, to be clear, my goal is never to get rich off of Etsy. It will happen where I increase the amount of income I get from Etsy, but that's never the goal. The goal is to get more customers over to my website. And I'll put things into consideration. To me, right, if let's just assume this is me, and this is a terrible drawing of me, but let's just say this is me. If you gave me 2 options, right, where you said, hey, make $5,000 off Etsy a month, or make $2,500 a month off of my own website, I'm going to pick my website every single time. Now, people might scratch their head and look at me and think I'm retarded or stupid, and I hate to use that word, but I'm sorry, it is what it is. They're going to look at me and say, you're crazy, you're out of your mind for picking half of the money. And I have a reason behind that. You have absolutely no ownership over your Etsy store. People think that they do. You absolutely do not. If they want you to disappear tomorrow, you will disappear tomorrow. You have no ownership. And I tried to hammer this in when I spoke about Redbubble, when I speak about TeePublic, when I speak about Merch by Amazon, when I speak about Zazzle, Society6. You have no ownership over these platforms. You are nothing to them. I want you to understand that. You are absolutely nothing. You're just a number on a screen. And all they have to do is click one delete button to make you disappear. So much rather, for me, I would much rather guarantee $2,500 coming to my website, making me money on my website, versus making money on Etsy. So very simply, I treat Etsy the same way that they would treat me, meaning they're expendable. I'm only using them for a short period of time, and then once I'm satisfied, I can leave them when I want. Now, me personally, I'm going to use Etsy, I'm going to use TeePublic, I'm going to use Redbubble, I'm going to use Zazzle, all these platforms to the absolute limit. I'm going to use them to the most, right? I'm never really going to, quote unquote, quit from their platforms. I'm not a quitter. That's not something I'll do. I'm just going to use them to take advantage of them and make as much money as I can off of their backs while simultaneously doing my own thing behind the scenes. Does that make sense? So The reason, like I said, why I'm sharing this is because if I choose to make future Etsy videos, which I definitely do not make many, if I end up choosing to make more Etsy videos, you guys will for sure know about them, and you'll for sure see me talk about them. I haven't gone too deep into Etsy because there's always so much going on, and Etsy is a world of its own. It's definitely something that I work on. I just don't speak about it too often. It's really the same way as my blog websites. My blog websites are the things that pay my bills. It's the things that I've been running for the past 8 years, making me money online, that has been consistent for me, and I would call it a job. I would definitely call it a job for sure. I would just call them, my blog websites. I'm not going to call myself an entrepreneur. I'm not going to gas myself up. I'm just being honest here. They're just my blog websites. I have those, and those are the thing that occupy most of my time, but it's not feasible for me to, or it doesn't make sense for me to talk about it here because it's not something that would interest you guys. But regardless, with that being said, so I work on Etsy all the time. It's just a matter of, me sharing this strategy with you guys. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I figured you might enjoy it. If you want to see more Etsy videos, let me know. I'll think about making them. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Bye.